Yo, what is up, guys? So training to muscular failure will help you build muscle for sure. But maybe you need it, maybe you don't, because failure is a flexible variable that sits on this continuum. So the question is, should you train to failure if you're a beginner? So in this video, I'm going to show you what you actually need when it comes to muscular failure if you're trying to gain your first 10 pounds of muscle. Okay, I'm going to touch down on intermediate and advanced stages, but this is for the guys that are brand new, so this is for beginners. Now, first, we have to define these words because they're not the same. Now, intensity, this is defined as the effort that you're applying in a rep. So it's relative to what you're capable of in that moment, right? Now, muscular failure is not the same. It's defined as the inability to complete a full concentric repetition despite providing maximal effort. So in a curl, that would be going up. That's the concentric, that's the positive movement. Now, intensity is ongoing within a set, okay? So this is from rep to rep. It's effort applied. This could be high, this could be low, this could be in the middle. It's essentially a percentage, right? Now, muscular failure is where you literally can't do another repetition. And of course, the intensity on that rep is very high. Now, this distinction is important to understand because muscular failure is a high intensity repetition, but you can also have high intensity reps without actually hitting muscular failure. So understanding this is really important, and I'm going to show you the model that's best suited for you as the beginner. So let's get right into this. Where are you plotted? Now, I know a lot of people will disagree with me on this, especially the hipsters, but oh well, make your own video, teach us the ways, almighty guru, you know everything, so go ahead and make your own video. Now, like I said, this is a continuum, right? It's not black and white like a lot of the hit guys want it to be. It's not how it is. So I'm not making absolutes here. I'm just giving you guys information based on years of experience and how I see things. So it looks something like this. If you're a beginner, train to failure on every single set, okay? Now, if you're intermediate, use failure selectively, maybe 50% of the time. And if you're advanced, you don't need to train to failure. And in fact, you probably shouldn't. You could argue this. Now, like I said, I'm not going to get into the intermediate and advanced stages. I can make other videos on that. So we're focused on the beginner. So that is 0 to 10 pounds of muscle, okay? And real quick, when I say don't train to failure or proximal, right? That doesn't mean it's easy, okay? These are not fluff sets. I'm not saying as you advance, it becomes easier. This is why I wanted to go through the definitions of intensity and muscular failure. They're not the same. These things change as we grow and we get larger, okay? It's not, again, a one-size-fits-all approach. It's not how it is, all right? But basically, this is where you're going to apply failure on every single set is if you are just starting out, you're looking to get your first 10 pounds of muscle. Now here's the reality, guys. If you're a beginner, you don't know how to train hard, okay? You, as the beginner, you need to learn how to train hard. The biggest reason is because you need to learn how to recruit high threshold motor units. These are the fibers that we want to tap into because they are the fibers that are most responsible for strength and growth, okay? Now, one way to ensure that both low threshold and high threshold motor units are fully taxed and recruited is by going to muscular failure. Okay, this is one way to do it. Now, and we want both low threshold and high threshold motor units. That's going to tap into everything in that muscle. We want to recruit everything. Okay, now I have other videos on my channel about motor unit recruitment and the size principle and all that, right? So you can go search for those. So I'm not going to get into it. It's not what this video is about, but that is what the goal is, especially all the way through beginner, intermediate, advanced. We want to recruit all of those motor units. So since you're a beginner, you don't know what hard training is like, right? So since we want to do this, muscular failure will accomplish that, okay? Because if you don't do this as a beginner, chances are you're not going to tap into those high threshold motor units. Because again, you don't know how to train hard, okay? So you need to go to muscular failure in the beginner stages on every single set, okay? From 0 to 10 pounds. You need to learn how to train hard, and you need to learn how to do this safely, okay? That's the caveat to this. So this is how you should do it. Now, I recommend using the fatigue intensity model, and I use this model. I have another video talking about the different intensity models, and actually, one of my third book, Muscular Hypertrophy, I wrote that in 2019 is when it was published, and it's a textbook, and I talk about this fatigue model in there actually. So this goes way back, okay? Now, this is how it looks, okay? And the reason why I call it a fatigue intensity model, because it goes from low intensity to high intensity. You remember going back to our definitions. These are different. Intensity is different than muscular failure. So intensity is rep to rep. Muscular failure is at the end of the set where you can't complete a full concentric repetition. Okay, so it was important that we went through that to discuss this. So we have effort going all the way up to 100%, and then this number 10 is, rep 10 is failure. So you can't do the 10th repetition. So the best way to do this is essentially a model that goes like this, okay? And this is where it's low intensity to high intensity, because it's low intensity reps and it merges into high intensity reps all the way to muscular failure. So basically we have rep 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it gets harder and harder with each repetition, and then you can't do this one, okay? And you fail. You try that last repetition, okay? But it's a fatigue model because you go from low intensity and you ramp it all the way up to high intensity, because initially you're not moving weight fast and aggressive. It's a gradual process, and this is also why it's called the fatigue intensity model. So you basically fatigue yourself all the way to failure. And in the beginning stages, it's fine. And I've talked about you want to minimize fatigue and you want to go after stimulus. That's what we want to do. This is more applicable as we get more advanced, intermediate, advanced stages. We want to minimize fatigue and we only want stimulus. But in the beginning stages, this is entirely acceptable and what you should do. This is the model that you need to follow from 0 to 10 pounds of your muscle growth journey, essentially. Now this is very typical, this fatigue intensity model. This is very typical in HIIT programs, especially super slow. And super slow is a derivative of HIIT. It's from Ken Hutchins back in the 80s. He worked for Arthur Jones, and Arthur Jones had a basically osteoporosis side of like rehab at Nautilus, and Ken Hutchins was in charge of that, and he created basically super slow, which is a 10-10 protocol. So repetition, speed, tempo, cadence, a 10-second positive, 10-second negative. And it's usually on specialized equipment. They were using MedX machines back in those days, and they're still around, of course, but very specialized equipment to go this slow on. And essentially, it is a fatigue intensity model. And a lot of HIIT guys will still use this model. They'll do it with free weights, which is crazy. And they'll use machines that don't have specific cams to accommodate this kind of intensity model. But this is usually what you see this is in these HIIT protocols. So I like this, but when do you use it? That's the question, right? I don't think, this is trash. I don't think this is a garbage model. The question really is, when do we use this fatigue intensity model? All right, now this is best, again, for beginners. Now it's also a good model to use if you're doing something new, a new movement that you're not used to, and the skill acquisition is very, very low, something you've never done before, or post-surgery, or if you have an injury and you're rehabbing, going back to the rehabilitation days of Nautilus, how this was actually created. So as far as like the tempo, really, and then ramping up all the way to failure. So super slow and reduction in load to go that slow, and then fatigue all the way up until muscular failure. So like rehabbing injury, so there's a time and place for this model, okay? And if you're a beginner, this is perfect. This is where you need to be if you're a beginner, okay? Because this is how you're going to learn how to execute muscular failure safely and recruit all of the motor units that we want to recruit, okay? So that is the model that we use. And now the question is, how do we apply this model? That is the question, okay? So, number one. Whoops, here we go. Come on, Mr. Pen. Let's go. Now, we will use machines, okay? Machines are safer, all right? Now, I don't use machines on everything with my clients. Now, if they're starting out, I bias machines if they're beginners, just like I'm telling you to do, because there's not a whole lot of skill involvement. We can focus on contracting the muscle. We can move slower. We can adjust any discrepancies with form if we need to. But it's a really good way to really hone in the skill of going to muscular failure, okay? And like I said, it's safer, all right? So number 2, move slower. Going back to the 10-10 protocol, we're not going to do that, okay? And again, this is for beginners, okay? A lot of this stuff, it's pliable as you grow and you get stronger, okay? This is exactly what you need to do, all right? And then when form breaks, you stop. Very simple, okay? You're on a machine. If something, chest press, say, and you're going slow and you get to failure and you don't quite know how to stay in form and you start doing some crazy shit, you're done, okay? So technical failure. You reach technical failure, all right? Not just failure where you fall out of form. We're not CrossFitting this, okay? So you reach technical failure, which means once form breaks, you shut it down, okay? And then as you do this more and more, you're going to understand how to maintain form and get another rep, okay? So do that, all right? Maintain form, go to failure, get another rep, and try to focus on staying in strict form to muscular failure. And then, well, it's pretty much what I just said. Improve and learn, right? Improve and learn to essentially push safely. Push to failure and push safely, okay? Now, I also recommend that you use a moderate amount of volume, not one set, all right? So you're not, and I'm gonna have another video on this exactly, why you should not as a beginner. So I don't mind using HIIT in terms of the fatigue intensity model, going to failure. I don't mind using this model in the beginning stages. The only problem is you don't want to do one set, okay? That's not going to work if you're a beginner. Okay, so again, intensity, muscular failure, volume, frequency, these things are pliable, they adapt, they change as you progress, okay? So I have another video that I am going to shoot on this in particular about HIIT and beginners. So look for that, but use this model, this fatigue model, controlled, stay on machines, go slow, go to failure, but you need to use moderate volumes, okay? And if you've watched any of my other stuff, you'll know exactly what that is. So anywhere from 5 to 10 sets per muscle group per session. But in this case, you're just starting out, 5 sets. Okay, we start you at 5 sets per muscle group, per session, failure on every single set, using the fatigue model, using machines, moving slower, okay? Now HIIT guys, HIIT people are gonna lose their minds, but look, if you're a beginner, you can handle this amount of volume while you go to muscular failure, okay? Guys, I bet my 2 big nuts that you're not gonna overtrain, okay? It's not high volume, you'll be fine. The reality is, a beginner who's just starting out, remember, that's the caveat, guys. We're not talking about intermediates or advanced people. You don't have enough muscle, you're not strong enough, you're using lighter weights, you're not gonna overtrain. You don't know how to really reach failure. Like, you have to figure this out. It's fine. Use the fatigue intensity model, use machines, move slower, go to muscular failure, form breaks, you shut it down, so technical failure. Improve, learn, stay in the moderate volume realm, but really start here, per muscle group, per session. Put on some muscle mass first, and then reassess where you are. All right, that's how you do it, guys. So if you're a beginner, learn how to reach failure using the fatigue intensity model. Do moderate volume. You'll be fine. You'll get it. And if you need help with this, join the Natty Aesthetics program. So top link in the description, tap it. It'll take you to some videos. It shows you what's inside and what I got going. I can help you do all this if you're a beginner, if you're intermediate, even advanced. Okay? So it's all about natural muscle growth. That's how we do it. And all my videos are about that, guys. Just an FYI, if you're brand new here and this is your first video you're watching, it's all about maximizing natural muscle growth. Okay? That's who it's specific to. Of course, this is specific to beginners, but it's beginners who are natty, who are natural. Not you guys using TRT, not peptide people, not steroid people. No, because that changes what I'm teaching. It's not the same. The stuff that I teach doesn't apply to those that are using and abusing. So keep this in mind. So everything I teach is centered around Natty Aesthetics, natural muscle growth, maximizing natural muscle growth. So top link in the description, tap it, let's go.